And today's class has already communicated. All right, Fumi, welcome to the call. So we are just about to start. So as already communicated to you, we are um, continuing from where we stopped yesterday, and not just exactly that. We are retracing our steps due to the issue we encountered along the line, and I must let you all know that it's part of the process, right? You and the ability to trace back what could have broken is also part of your job, and you are experiencing it firsthand. So yesterday we had some issues, and I've been able to look at the data again to really know what caused those issues. So we have solutions to them. And the first issue we had, though I suspected it was going to be the model, but that was not the issue. Yeah, the model is not the main issue, but there is still some aspect of it that has to do with the model. So we it's the summary of everything is that we missed some steps in the data cleaning, right? So we are going to trace our steps back to Power Query. And what are we going to do here? What we're going to do here is that remember that we have this table called geolocation dataset, right? Which is meant to serve as our dimension table that shows us all the possible locations. That means with this table that we'll be able to join to get the latitude and the longitude of each customer using their zip code. But right now, if I sort this table, if I sort this column, let's say I sort it in ascending order, I would see a lot of duplicates. Let's give it some time to load. So by sorting this, I see duplicates along the zip code column. And this is serving as our primary key for this table, right? Remember we had highlighted, we had emphasized it several times that your primary key is not supposed to have duplicates, right? Your foreign key can have duplicates, but not your primary key, right? So this is serving as the primary key for this table, right? So what we'll do is the first thing to do is to handle that. I think someone's hand is up. All right, Fumi, your hand is. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
I was going to ask if you started sharing
Oh my
screen.
God, I apologies. I forgot to. I.
That's fine. I suspected the way you were talking. I'm like, the screen is not showing. Maybe it's on my side. But
So sorry.
thanks.
Thanks for drawing my attention to that. So can you see it now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. So I've not gone far. I was showing you that this is. We had said it multiple times that your primary key is supposed to be unique. The column for primary key is supposed to be unique. And unfortunately, we did not remember to handle duplicates in this table called geolocation, right? Let me turn on my highlighter so you can follow. All right, so this is the column, and I just sorted it in ascending order, and you can see that we have 1001 repeated multiple times, and the same applies to many other ones. And the reason is because you can find multiple zip code prefix within a coordinate, a geolocation coordinate, right? So what we will do is we're going to drop duplicates along this column. That means we're going to end up with lesser number of rows in the overall. We have about 1 point something million rows in all, but we will drop duplicates and that will reduce the size of the table. So how to drop duplicates? You come to the column, which I've already highlighted, right click, and you see the option to remove duplicates, right? So just click that. So we'll give you some time to propagate. Now it's already infected. It's just performing profiling. So the next thing we'll now do, right? We have handled duplicates in this table. And then let me just rename this as city, not geolocation city. Then back to this table. we'll go back to our orders table, and then we are going to handle filter out orders that were cancelled, because there's no point bringing them with us. Orders that were cancelled means that they never made it to the records, right? So we cannot rely on that. It's not necessary to carry it along, right? So we'll just uncheck that. And then every other thing here, yeah, every other thing here still falls somewhere in the workflow, which could be, and then unavailable, yeah, unavailable should also, can also uncheck unavailable, because there's no point. It's just as good as, well, but then this is an uncertainty we may not be able to handle, because if we are with the management, we could ask them how do they handle on goods when it's unavailable. Is it that it's not available at the moment, and then customer would wait for when it's available, or once it's not available, it's as good as cancelled. But we are going to remove it in any case, since we don't have anyone to ask that question, right? The documentation did not cover explanation and provide much explanation to this. But my assumption is that it's better to proceed with delivered, invoiced, processing, and shipped. Someone's hand is up. Okay.
Yeah, I was going to ask that, are there real life scenarios where some of the fields are not accessible, the values or the tables to call are not accessible?
The tables to call.
Mm.
No, I didn't get.
Okay, okay, so I'm saying that, do we have real life scenarios where some of the data are not available and then you cannot access them?
Yes, there are okay. Now we did not really do much on data cleaning, data handling. You understand, but it's a very
Okay.
essential aspect of data analysis. Now that's why I mentioned that it's important when you are working as a data analyst or a data expert professional in any field, right? There are two parties involved now. You are the technical expert, then there are the domain experts, the business owners, those that run the day-to-day
Yes.
business, right? The dev, the development team, the people that built the pipeline and the rest. So there are times that when you come across a data, maybe the data they give to you, and there are some missing records. Yes, you can, depending on the kind of data and how important it is, you would ask questions, right? It's possible that the data is coming from a different system, right?
Oh,
And for
okay.
example, there's this project that I'm part of, and the thing is, the sales data is coming from two different systems. One is coming from the mobile device, the other one is coming from the other system, right? So
Wow.
they will need to somehow bring the two of them together into the
Okay.
pipeline so that you have the full record, right? Now, if you don't ask questions, you
Okay.
may not know what is really the true picture of.
Missing or what
Yes,
available.
yes. So it's always good to consult, to be in close communication with the people that own the project, right? So
Okay.
thank you for that question. So I've unchecked unavailable and cancelled. We assume that the workflow is, we are considering sales value for orders that we either delivered, invoiced, processing, or shipped. I think there are other categories here. Let me just be sure. Let me load more and see if there are other ones. Yeah, I've almost missed that. So I will remove cancelled, and then I will still remove unavailable. Approved. If an order is created, approved, and um, invoiced, then processed, shipped, then finally delivered when it gets to the customer, right? So that's it. Now with this two, I can come and rename this one as status, right? Then what else? Order date, customer delivered. Okay. So with these two, I think we are good to go. Now the next thing we'll do is this. We are going to revisit this our products table, right? So we have this table called products data set, and then the second one, products category name translation, which we've already known that it's just a translation table. We just want to have this column that has the name in English. So this is the primary key. With this one, I'll be able to, sorry, with this column here, I'll be able to join it back to this table, right? Because we already have product category name here, which is in Spanish, and then also this one, which is in Spanish as well. So from Spanish, I'll bring over data in English translation. So how do you do that? You do that by merging queries. Sorry, a query. When you hear a query is somehow a form of any function that somehow returns values in form of table, right? It could be a function, it could be a normal Excel file, it could be anything that returns value in form of a table. So when you want to, what we want to do is that right now in this product table, we have two columns, product ID and then the product category name in Spanish. We want to add another column, the third column that bears the category name in English, right? So in doing that, when you want to add more columns, that's your data, the resulting table will be wider. You do merge queries. When you merge queries, you are increasing the number of columns. But when you appending columns means that appending queries means that you are bringing in two tables and joining them one on top of the other. So when you append, you end up getting longer table, right? But when you merge, you end up getting wider table. So in this case, we are merging. So I select this first table, and then when I come to home, go to merge queries. If I click on this drop down, I see merge queries, and then I see merge queries as new. If I click merge queries as new, to create a new table for me, which is not what I want to do. Now, just to be clear, this products data set is the main table. This second one is the auxiliary that came. This one came from the system. This one is the auxiliary that came from an external, maybe translation system. So I've selected the main table first, then I click on merge query. And it opens up this for me. We've seen this before. So what do I do? This is where I select the second table that I want to pull the data from, right? So clicking here, and I have mentioned before that the first one here, the first table you selected is often called left, right? Or from table. Sorry, yeah, left. This is the left. That's usually the most common terminology. Then the second table is right, right? The right table. So I will select the right table is product category name translation. Now the next thing I will need to do is this. I would select the common column, the ID column, which is for this one I select the first column. For the second one I select the first column as well. And then I come here to see the join type. There are different types of join. You can do either left outer, right outer, full outer, inner, and so on and so forth. All of them have different meanings. For example, when you say left outer means the left table, you will want everything in the left table, right? Then bring in matching rows from the right table. When you say right outer, you are saying the other way around. You want everything in the right column, then bring up every other matching rows in the left column. Full outer means that you are convolving the two of them. Inner means that you are just matching common column across the two tables, just matching common rows across the two tables, and so on. So we are using left outer, and looking at here, it tells us, it gives us a kind of okay, statistic. Oh, sorry, I selected the wrong key, the wrong column. So it should be this one instead of product ID. So if I look here, I can see that I see 32,000. I don't know if you can see it, and unfortunately, I'm not able to zoom, but I hope you see it. 32,951.
I can see, but it's very faint as well. I'm also trying to zoom
Yes,
my.
it's very faint, and this is not intuitive enough, so I can't zoom while on Power Query.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Oh, so it's
But
32,238.
yes, 328
Okay.
of
Of 32,000.
32,951. So
Yeah.
there are some products that don't have category. Do you get the idea? Out of
Yeah, I understand
out of
that.
32,951 products from the first table, we were only able to find a match to
For 32,000.
32,328 rows, right?
So it means that some of them is missing the
Yes,
product ID.
yes, and we will soon see it. So then I can click on OK, and then it brings over the table. What we have here is a column that references it, another table, right? So it just maps the matching rows for each, but this is not what I need. I will now come here. You can see this two-way arrow. Click on that, and this is where I will expand to select the column I'm interested in. The column I'm interested in is the one that has the product category, not the key. I will uncheck the key. and then it asks me to use original column name as prefix. I will uncheck that. So I will now click on OK. So it gives me the actual category in English. And then with that, I can see that, okay, if I look at this, I can see that there are some columns that don't have that are empty. For example, looking at here, I have empty. 3% of them don't have value, right? So they are empty. So you'll be wondering why they don't have, maybe they don't have a category. Yeah. So what could happen in that case is there's nothing we can do here than to use, we can use a dummy data to represent it. We can use a not available, because there's no other explanation we can provide as to why it is not so. Why we have a product ID and then there's no category for that. So we don't have, our highest source of truth is the data. So what do? We can either come here, we're eventually going to drop this column because it's just serving as a key. We're eventually going to drop it. So what we'll do is, let's focus on this one. We can come here, we can replace value here. If I select any of the cells, but to be easier, I can just select the one that is null. I can select it, right click, I see replace values. Click on that. Then I can now type in what do I want to use and replace. I can call it uncategorized. Or I can call it NA, that's not available. It's up to you, right? Then I click on OK. So you can see that the errors are now gone for this column. They are now 100% valid, right? Now, there's another underlying data issue in this column. For example, if we filter for those rows that are blank for this second column, if we filter for those rows that are blank, no, not those rows that are blank, sorry. Let me take my step back and show you what I mean. If I scroll down, if I sort this, or rather this one first, if I sort this, let's do it in any way, ascending or descending. If I scroll down, you can see that there are some that, though they still have value, but we're still getting null here. That's because perhaps the person that did the translation did not translate for some of those. For example, PC gamer. What does it mean in Spanish? I can copy it. So it's now up to you to continue the data cleaning, right? So you can go and find out what PC gamer is, right, in Spanish. If it is still PC gamer, you can use it and replace. So I presume that PC gamer will still remain PC gamer in English, right? So I can come and replace this row. I can, before I did the filtering, there are different ways you can handle it. For example, you can come and replace a particular value in this column, right? Like, let's say when you have PC gamer here, then the row that matches it should be PC gamer. You can do the same for this one. You can do the same for this one. Right? One way to do it is you can use conditional columns, but we will not have to go through that long process. You can read more about it. So what we're going to assume for our project is that all these are extra data cleaning job that this data set still requires. But just to proceed, because we've already spent time on this, because it's already 24 minutes past, we are going to replace null with uncategorized, but I just need you to know that the data is not yet 100% clean, right? So I come to this replace value and then I have it. Then I can safely drop this column because I don't need it again. Just click on delete and then we are done. And let me see if there's any other thing to clean up so we don't return here. Okay, delivered. This is already cleaned. And then, so I think we are basically done. Then there's another major issue we had yesterday. I was looking at the wrong table for the product sales value, right? I was looking at the payments table, but I later researched and it happened that that table is not really the right table I should be looking at. We should have been looking at the product order items table, because that's the one that contains the actual items that was bought. Now, the payment table serves a different purpose in terms of how people paid for products, which payment option, method they use, and the rest. And we'll find out that the value for any product, let me show you what that means. If I come to this um, payments, order payments, that shows me value of $51.95 for this particular order. Let me copy this order. I'll copy the order value. Then if I go to the order side, order items table, then what you will notice is if I search for that particular order, let's hope it's here. If I search for that, yeah, see it here. If I search for that particular order, here, one product, you can see that if I add up the price and the freight value, 36.85 plus 15.10 will give us around 36 plus 15, 41, around 51, let's just say around 52 something. So let me use my calculator so that we don't guess. So
I was also
36,
trying to use calculator so that we are more accurate.
yes, 36.85 plus 15.1 gives me 51.95. So let's go back to the other table, the payments table, and you notice that the values should match. Where is it again? Payments table. Payments. Yeah, this is 51.95, exactly the same value. So what that tells us is that payment value is equal to price plus freight value. Freight value is value of the cost of shipping and those other logistics. So we are going to be looking at this table instead, product order items table instead, because it has the highest grain. By grain, I mean that for each line item, this one already calculates the product. So if we reference in the reference, let me go to Kaggle and let's see the documentation. It was explained there actually. So if I pick up this um, order number, right, and it contains 3 items. Let's see. You will notice something. If I go to the order items table that we just left here, which is this one, and I search for that particular order ID, right, if I select it, you can see it contains 3 items, and those items are the same product. They are the same product ID match exactly. So it means that the way this system is recording their sales is that if you bought a product that contains, maybe you ordered for 3 iPhone 7, it's recording each line, one, two, three, right? Order item
Okay,
one, two,
even
and
if
three.
the three order is coming from one single customer, it separates them.
Yes, but there could be other systems that that this thing is just a product, a case of you saying creating another column
Yeah,
that calls
actually, the product I
quantity,
am.
quantity.
Mm.
Yes, but we
Okay,
don't
what
have.
if it's because of the IMEI, maybe because of the serial of the product? Because if they merge them, they will not be able to capture the serial of each of the products.
No, not really. It depends on how the system was designed. Because if you want to capture the serial of the product, you can still
Mm.
there's still a way to track that. I have seen other
Okay.
systems like Sage that still has, but somehow they have their own reason why they want to do it that way. You get. So
True.
yours is to know how the data works and which system it came from, and then how to go about it. If not, the easiest way is you can say that we don't have a column that says quantity here. You get. Because by the time I add up this
Yeah,
one and this
that's
one,
true.
by the time I add up this one and this one for each row, it's just as good as multiplying the sum of this by 3.
Yeah,
You can do it,
exactly.
you can work it out to see that it will match exactly. So that's the grain. So that's the trick about this particular um, system. So what we're going to do next is we are going to come to this order items table, and then let's add another column, which we'll now call amount. That will help us multiply this one and this one, right? So I would come here. Can you remember how to do it? Because we've done it before. I'm not sure. I think we've done it before. We've done it before when we did for date table. What is it called?
I cannot, let me not lie. So today is like the main day, the only day I've really had time to sit down to
Uh,
follow the class
let me
live.
pick another
Previously,
topic.
I'm always on the road.
Yes.
returning from work. So
Okay. So Dorothy has always been here with us. So Dorothy, can you remember? And I've always dragged her into. Dorothy, can you remember?
no, sir,
All
I've
right.
not really been
So
paying
we
much
do
attention.
calculated column. It's calculated column because it's a dynamic. It didn't come directly from our original source. So we are just using coining a logic. So we want to create a new column. Click on new column. Then it opens for me the formula bar just like you have it in Excel. So I give it a name called, I call it amount equal to, it's as easy as saying order items, that is price plus, let me just call it freight. That's always remember to call the column, the table, then the column. So this gives me column called amount. Then what do we do next? We go back to that our measure that we created yesterday that calculates for us amount, that calculates for us sales, um, total sales. Where is that again? Where is that? Where is that? Where is that? Is it this one? No, not this. Measure. Okay, I can't trace it again. Although I will still have um, relocated it. So we are going to create a new measure now, right? And the new measure we're going to create is now what is going to serve as our main sales figure. Forget about what we did yesterday. We are moving it to a different table now. So if I create a new measure, I can call it perhaps total sales equal to, I can now say sum. When you do sum adds up all the values in one column to give you the value, the resulting total. So I can now go to, let me just type amount and I can pick from the column. You see that the column we created has shown up. So I can select that. Okay, total sales is already used for a measure. You can see I was looking for it, I couldn't find it. So let's trace it back. Let me search for it here. Total. So now okay, it's under this place. I can come here. Let me update this. I will now change it from payment table to other items. So I can zoom now. I can zoom now. So let me replace this other items and then amount, right? So that gives me the value, right? So now, before we proceed into creating more measures, we're retracing our steps, right? We've achieved the first one, which was um, deduplicating the geolocations data. So, well, we are still going to do some things on the model. We're still going to rework the model. And we've also identified that we were working with the wrong table. So let's go back to the model before we come back to creating our additional calculations. So in this model that we just updated, I'll have to delete this many to many because I have removed duplicates in that column. So there is no need for, it can't be many to many again. So it means that in this geolocations data set, every row is unique, right? So I can now I can now connect, what's the ID column? The ID column is a prefix. So I can drag it and place here, which gives me one to many, right? And then I can safely call it activated. I can safely activate the relationship that's between customer data set. And then I'll do the same here. I can choose not to delete it. I would call it, it's still going to give me one to many. That's between geolocation data set and seller data set. Then I cannot make it active because it will give me a circular relationship, which is not what I want. What I want is star. Power BI will not even allow me to do that. So then remember to make this one single. Now, then click on apply, and that saves for you. Then the other thing, I think we are done with the core issue that was biting us. Yes. So you now see that that filter will propagate. Remember we created, yeah, this is what I mean. Remember this thing that was giving us the same value for all rows, for all rows. it's whenever you see it, it's because your table is not able to filter to propagate effectively. There are some kind of complications in your model. Whenever you see something that you drag one measure into a field and then you drag another one from another table into the same field and you get the same height of a chart or whatever, you are going to end up seeing that it's something that has to do with your modeling. You did not model it properly, which was what really caused the issue yesterday. Then here as well, I have to also change this one to one direction because there's no point for bidirectional. Bidirectional can cause unnecessary complexities. So change it to one direction. So if I go back here, you see that my table now shows me what the value should be. For example, this one is unique, 1.4 million. This one is unique, 232,000, right? So that's what we're expecting, and it's good that we can see what caused the issue. So it means that from this point now, we can proceed with our analysis as expected. The tables are now showing the correct values, the actual breakdown. Remember yesterday it was showing me the same value all through. So we resolved the issue, right? So at this point, we would do some data hygiene before we proceed, because in real world you are going to have to create a lot of measures, right? And if we let our measures scatter around different places, it will be very difficult for us to. You can see that I was already searching for total sales, which is just here. So how do you keep your measures organized? You keep your measures organized by coming to this place, create a new table. Just come here, make sure you are under the table 2, and then just to say one thing, if anytime you get yourself lost within Power BI, then the first thing you should look at, the first place you should look at is this topmost navigation, right? It's already grouped for you according to the theme. They have already seen the most likely action you want to perform. If I'm in home, yeah, home brings together some of the most used formulas, functions, and whatever, right? If I come to modeling, I'm dealing with tables, columns, and the rest. If I come to view, if I want to turn off any of this, I can handle it from view. For example, bookmark data. If I've turned it off, and you can see that that database symbol has gone. So I can re-enable it, right? I can remove viewed, and you see that this one that shows the charts has gone. So, but I will need to take it back. So views, just as the name implies, tells you what you can see. For example, if I want to fit this thing that I've zoomed, if I want to fit it back to um, the width of my screen, I can just do it from here. You can see that it's fitted perfectly. And so if you want to optimize external tools like Dark Studio and the rest, so that's just a side attraction. Now, I was going to show you that you need to create a table that would organize all your measures so that you don't end up putting your measures inside the main tables, right? Now let's see. Come here, click on new table, and then you just give it a name. Maybe you can call it measures. Then put equal to, and don't type any other thing, just hit enter. Okay, I already have a table. Okay, measures is a reserved name. All right, so I can call it maybe base base measures. All right, so it's created for me. If I expand here, you see that there is just one column here, empty column. That's because by default you need to, a table should have at least one column. But we are going to eventually hide that. So if I want to now bring, anytime I want to create a measure, I will just make sure, if I want it to be under this measure, under this table, right? I will select that table. I'll select the table and make sure I'm selecting it. I selected it before I now come here and click on new measure, right? Once I create a measure, it will enter here. But if you forgot to do it, now you can go back to modeling, the one we were doing the other day. Go back to modeling, and then you can see your measures here, like this what is it, total sales, all these ones we created yesterday, order counts, sales last year, and so on. I can just click on any of them, then I will change the home table from date to base measures, right? If I want to organize it, maybe you are working on a financial report that you need to organize things under expenses, revenue, because there are so many things flying around. You can now create a column, right? That's where you now create a column here. That's a display folder. Give it, if the folder does not already exist, just type it here and it will be created under that table. That's when you will now see something like a drop down within it. Let's see one. Let's say test. I'll just call it test. So by calling it test, what will happen is that it will move. If I come back here, I will see that my column, my measure, this is the measure, which is order count, is now inside a folder, which is also inside the base table. Now that empty column that was created for you, just come here, this is it, hover on it, and then you see this eye symbol, click on it, and it would hide. So it will be hidden, right? So if I go back here, I won't see that again. So I can only see base measures, test, and order counts. If I have, you can rename this one to any other thing. This is where you could now put all your measures for revenue or whatever. So I would need to remove it because I'm not sure we really have so much to do with creating. So let's just remove that. I'll just come here and delete it, leave it blank. So it will be in the parent table so that it has disappeared. So then the last thing I would want us to do is that our date table is not yet properly formatted. Okay, I would eventually move the other measures I created, but let me just show you. They are currently inside the date table. Let me just show you what I was going to say. Our day, date, year, month. Month is showing me month number and so on. So I'll need to create other tables, other columns within here. So let me add a new table, a new column called this first one, the existing one is month number. Let me rename it to month number because it's just showing me the number of the month. So I'll call it month number, right? Then I'll create a new column and call it month. That's the one that will now have the actual month. So month equal to, and how do I get it? I would extract it from here. So I can now call the function format, right? When I want to format, it asks me value. What is the value I want to format? The value is this column called month number. So which is in date, then month number, see it here. Then I will put comma. The next option is how do I want to format it? Okay, I will put double quotation. Then inside that double quote, I can type right? So that gives me, probably I will recognize this as month. That's the short form for January. Instead of long January, you now see JAN. Then the third, if I put comma, the third one is optional, so we'll leave it out. So that gives me my January, February, March. So if I come here and type the fourth M, you see that I get the full month name. But I think this one is looking better. Then I've created months. Then the next one I'll create is I'll create quarter. Let's extract quarter here. So new column, I'll call it a quarter number, just like we did for date. Quarter number equal to, we call the function quarter, right? Then quarter of what? We now reference this date column, which is living inside the date table. So date, right? Close it. So that gives me 1, 2, 3, 4. So September is Q3, just like January is Q1. But this is not how I would want to present it. So how do I do it? I need this quarter number because this is what I will use to sort the quarter that you know, Q1, Q2, Q3. So let me create that one separately. I'll create it referencing the date column. So I'll now call it quarter. So, and then that will be equal to, I'll now call the function quarter, which is this. Then I would use the same strategy I did for formatting, for month formatting rather. So what I will do is I will still call format. right? Then I can, what am I formatting? I'm formatting the date column, which is date. Um, date. Then comma. What is the format I want it to be in? I will open my double quotes. Then inside it, I will type the first slash. Is it backslash or front slash? Then I'll type Q. Then I can also type another small q or another capital big Q. Now I close it. I will explain what this means. So it's not like we are doing magic here. What that means, the first backslash or the first slash I put here, if you are a programmer, you know that you are trying to do, it's called escape sequence. Like you are trying to escape. Power BI already has this Q now is already something that, remember that when we type MMM, it recognizes that MMM is already a pattern, it recognizes. So anywhere you see MMM in the quotes, then it should extract the month name from that. The same applies to here. So if I come here and I remove, let me see, I remove that and I just put Q. Then it gives me, you say that it still returns for me the quarter, but that I don't want it to just return the quarter number. I want it to also return a Q before that. But if I put another Q here, it will return for me 3, which is not what I want. So I want to escape the first one. Let it ignore this very first one, this first Q. Let it treat it as normal text. So I'll put this back and slash. So it gives me my Q3, which is what I need. So then the other one I will create is I'll create week number. Sorry, week number equal to weekday. Then referencing the same date column. Then it will extract that. Then week number. Then I can now create the week name. If I want to see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I will now come here. Right, and then I can, let's see, weekday. Let's see if formatting work. I can call it format. Yeah, I use formatting to achieve that. And what am I formatting? Let me format week number, right? And then how do I want it to be? I'll put in double quotes. And then I think the code, will I remember? The code for week is it DD? I'm not sure. Let's try and see. Yeah, so that gives me months. The day. So Sunday, Monday. If I put DDDD, then I should have the fourth one. So you already know the pattern. So now the next thing we'll do is we'll now want to sort this. Why we want to sort Q1, Q2, Q3 is so that, especially months, is because if you place this in a chart, let's not end up having, by default, it will sort it in alphabetical order. So you end up having April as the first month in your chart instead of January. So what do? I select the column, I come to this sort by, then I select that month number that we created. Where is it? Month number. We can't sort. What did I do? There can't be more than one value month number for the same value month. Okay. So this is a case of duplicates. I think we are having duplicates around month 9. Okay. There are additional tables, additional columns we could create to handle this. What the error is telling us is this. There cannot be, if you want to sort anything, like now, anytime I have Q3, the number here will always be 3, right? But that is not, I think that's the case of the, yeah, okay, let's see. Let me see if month number, what's the next thing I could have sorted it with? Um, this one number. Okay, what will happen is let's not waste time on that. Let's sort the other ones, and when we have need for this one, we'll come back to that. The other thing is what's it called? Quarter. Let's sort quarter and see if that will still give us the issue without quarter number. If the quarter was able to sort, right? That means anywhere we use quarter, it would sort. But for months, well, I'll come back to this and fix it if we encounter any need for that. But it's coming because there are additional columns in the date table that we will need. There are additional columns in the date table that we will need for us to be able to sort, to get up to the finest grain that can identify each particular month. For example, you see that the month January, I mean, for this year, 2016, the months repeated, I mean, in 2016, 2017, and 2018, you are still going to see a repetition. That means along this line, you are still going to see some duplicates, right? So it will require us to create additional column that we'll use to find to figure it out. But I think for now we have something that we can work with. Then we are done with our date column. And of course, remember that you should mark it as the official calendar table. That's coming here, click here, calendar options, then mark as date table. Then it asks you for the date column, then it's already selected by default. Doing this means that Power BI will now recognize this as your official calendar. Your official, anytime you want to do time intelligence, you don't need to point it to the table, right? It already knows the table that it will reference. And this table is rich enough that it contains all the days from the beginning of our data till the last day, the most recent data. So that's the advantage. Now we've settled the issue with dates and the model that was breaking, and our charts now work. So we can now focus the remaining minutes in actual analysis, which is where we're heading at. Now I will go back to my document, and then let's revisit our calculations of yesterday. The first thing we did was order count, and I think we still have it, it's still correct. Now, if you come across any case like what we observed yesterday, whereby order counts, we are getting two different order counts from the order table and from the order items table. Well, it is not expected. It is not expected. Why it's not expected is because the order table is the most important, that's the ultimate source of truth, right? But the other one is just referencing. But you can have a situation whereby the two don't match, because, for example, it's possible that some of the orders, just like you noticed when we were joining it, some of the orders don't even have maybe they are invalid orders that were discarded. Sometimes it could be that the developers are just doing some tests and they were placing some random orders that are no longer relevant, and they end up deleting it from one table, but in the other table it still carries along. So if you want to know your ultimate source of truth, then I think the best place to look at is, let's rely on our orders table, right? But doing that also means that since we are referencing the order items table for our sales figure, since we are referencing our order items table for our sales figure, order item table is going to has already calculated for us every single item, every single thing that was identified as an order here, right? So when the two tables don't match, it calls for you to ask questions. For example, what I mean in simpler terms is this: if I do my calculation to calculate total order, that's unique orders, and I base it on this order, this main orders data set, right? And I say, let me confirm, and I now go to the order table, the order items table, and I do the same calculation, and it gives me a different value, just like we already observed, right? Then it's an opportunity to ask questions. Why? It's so because ideally the two of them should match. The orders data set table is the header. That means it's the one that contains all the unique orders that were placed. Then the order items table is the one that contains the individual items that make up the order, which still references back to the orders data set, right? So when you see that there are some tables, there are some columns rather, or rows rather, in the other items table that don't have a corresponding order in the orders table, it can present an issue. Why? Because we've already gotten our sales amount from that table, which includes those other or those rows that we can't explain, we can't provide explanation for. So it presents some uncertainty. One way, if you are able to ask questions, then you can ask people or the management why it is so. They can maybe you can provide a list of those orders that were affected, and they will show it to you. They will explain to you. But in our case, there's nobody to ask. So what I can do, right? One way I can do it is for me to go back to my modeling. Let me make sure that the order that I am working on match exactly. That means any order that does not enter this orders data set should be treated as invalid. How do I do that? I will just take some step backward, and then let's go back to our model, transform data. I want to confirm that you are still able to see my screen and follow along. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. I can still see your screen.
Okay, thank you. So what I want to do now is I want to rectify the issue between the fact that we have um, more unique. Let me go back. Let me go back to my table view. This is my table view for table view for orders dataset. If I come to order ID and I click on that, if I zoom back, it shows me that there are about 98,207 distinct values in this table. Now, if I go to other items, if I go to other items and I click on the order ID column, right, it tells me that there are 98,666, right? So it means that this one contains some orders that were not, that somehow maybe those ones that we discarded, these are 98,666, and the other one gave me 98,666, and the other one gave me 98,207. So if you do the math, you see that this one has less orders than the other one. So what is now the explanation we provide for those extra rows, about 400 extra rows that we have that we can't explain for? Well, it calls for us to ask more questions, but there's no way to answer us our question right away. What I would assume, in order for us not to bring in sales value that somehow came from an order that could have been discarded, right? What I'll do is I can go back to the model. If this was in Power, maybe you are writing this was in a database, right? You would um, make sure that you apply you write a query that somehow ensures that the value you are dealing with is a validated sales figure. That means if you are pulling it directly from the ledger, you will not have some of these issues, but that's not the case for us. So what I want to do now is I want to use this table. I want to use the unique order IDs in this order data set, which is the main master table, to filter for this, uh, to filter out those um, possibly irrelevant orders that we have in this table. So how do I do it? I can do it by, let me perform another merge query. I can do it here. Then I would merge queries. Then in merging queries, I just want to bring over this orders dataset into this other one. So I can select this order ID and then come to the order dataset table and select order ID. So what I will do now is I want to preserve all the records in I want to preserve um, the all the records in this master table, and then get. Okay, sorry. I will do inner join now. What inner join will help me do is that it's going to get for me matching rows between the two tables, right? We are not doing left or right. The best way to handle it is we'll do inner join. That means only matching rows. That means if it will check the two tables, it will pick every order here, pick this one, then look at this table. Is it available? Did it find it there? Yes. If it did not find it, then it will discard it. Any order that is in this table that is not here will not be brought forward, and any order that is in this one that is not here will not be brought. So I will now do inner join, and then Let's see the match. Let's see how many matched. So I have 112,101 orders. Remember, it's not going to be unique because we are pulling it into the bigger table out of 112,650. So it means that definitely there are some rows that will be discarded, right? Now this is not the best way, but it is the only option available to us now because there's nobody to go and ask why these orders were there and why they are not there, this and that, right? I hope you understand. Now, why, as it has, after bringing it in here, what I will now do is I will now come here and then I will expand. And then what am I expanding? Well, I really don't even need any column here. But let's say, let me just preserve this one for now. So that I will delete it in the next step. I'll click on OK. So these are a kind of workaround. If you are pulling it directly from the database, then you have the flexibility to do much more. You will write the query instead of carrying things over. So now I can now guarantee that every order in the main orders data set should be found in the orders table. And what this could cause for us is that the total sales value would likely fall down, right? Because there are some rows that we've discarded. So I will just delete this table. I just needed it as a filter. I can go back again and then apply. Let's wait for it to load. So, oh, we've already spent all the time. Oh, that was unexpected. So let's give it some time to load. And then while it's loading, let's confirm what our sales value should be now. So at this point in time, I can go with higher confidence that my order count, whether I pull it from the orders table or from the other items table, should match. So let's verify that these order counts, and right now it's coming from the orders table, right? If I change it to order items, right? Order items data set, order ID column. Take note, it's showing 98,207 right now. 98,199. Interesting. So why am I getting that after doing? Why am I getting this? 98,999. I would go back. I have to find out what is happening. Let me go back again and see if I missed a step. But I expected the two to match perfectly. If I go back to this order items, yes. Okay, let me do it from here. Let me see if I can get, if I bring the two tables side by side. Let me see if I would find an order that does not have a corresponding match in the other table. So product ID, order items. Let me pull this from orders table, orders data set, then order ID. Then the second column should come from the other table, which is order items data set, then order ID. Let's see. What we're having now is that we have some values in this table that don't have a corresponding. Do I have a filter applied? Look at this again. Order items, order ID, unique. Just a distinct count. Take it back to the orders data set. Let's see. Oh, sorry. Order ID 98,207. Why is it so? This text here. Okay, you may not be able to. This is another call for investigation, and it's going to. I need to summarize it. Let me summarize here. Interesting. I did not expect to get any other this thing that is not in the other table. Okay, let me see if I can apply a filter here and if that will work. If I apply a filter, the filter I want to apply is I want to apply filter so that it only shows me those rows. Since I have more values in this is a 98 and 207. Since I have more values in the other items, other data sets table, let me get those ones that are not matching. Let me get those ones that are not matching in the other data set. There's other item data sets. What is it? Let me use it as a filter for those ones that will show me null. Perhaps we will be able to understand what we are seeing. Okay, this. Okay. Then let me see. It's no. It's blank. If I apply this filter, it all disappears. Okay. It's empty. See. It's empty. Well, this opens another interesting thing here, but this will require another closer look. To require another closer look. Could it be that the gem we used was wrong? I doubt if it was wrong, because it should be inner gen. Inner gen is what will give me the unique value from the two. Let me see. I can still probe this further by going back to that table and pulling all the records from the right. Okay, let me see. Let's try right join and see if it doesn't work, then we will not want to spend another day on this. I will just have to take some time on my own and look at it again more properly. So instead of doing back to this step that we applied here, right? Let's say up to this point. Let me edit what we just did. Okay, sorry, it should not be this one. It's not this. Let me edit this one instead and see if this other ID. Now, other items data set, the main one, the line items, the table that contains the line items. I am not really so confident in this table, but however, what I want to do is I want to make sure that any value, want to filter out those values that are in this table that are not referenced in this table, right? So let me see. What I will now do is I want to retain every row in this others data set, but remove the ones that are not matching here. So I will come back. This is my right table and this is my left table. So let's try right outer. That is all from second matching from first, and see if we'll get the right thing there. If it doesn't still give me the right value, then it will require closer probing. It matches 98,199 out of 98,207. Okay, so The next step is when I expand. Okay, let's say I expand here. So it means that I'm assuming this is assuming that every single table here now should have been filtered down to those orders that come from the master table. Let's wait for it to. Okay, it's already applied. Let me just delete this one again and go back to my. What? I saw something here. I saw something. I'm going back. I saw something here. I think we're going to. Let me go back. I was seeing some null values. I want to know why they are there. So I think that is what will give us what we need. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Okay, no, not it. It should be in this table instead. Yes, I'm getting some null values. Yes, this exactly is what we are looking for. I don't know if anyone is still following me, but this is exactly what we are looking for. Why should I have null values, right? So what will happen here is that all these null values, perhaps these null values could be maybe some um, empty rows in Excel that have been following us all around. But let me filter it out since I will not lose any data. The entire row for all of them are null. So let me filter it out and then just by unchecking null and see if my problem is solved. So go back here and apply the step. So we perform the order count again when the table has loaded. Okay, this 712 would not should end by 730. Okay, so 98,207 when I am getting it from where? From so where's that? When I'm getting it from the orders data set. Now let me change it back to order items and see. Please take note, other items. Oh, sorry. It's currently 98,207. So when I hit enter, let's see what happens. 98,199. What is happening? What is happening? Then what could be happening here is somehow, maybe I suspect that what is happening here is related to date. Is related to date, to my date filter. I doubt, but I suspect still. Let me go back to this. This is my date table and my other table, my other items. I don't have anything that has to do with date here. I don't have. Oh, okay. This is another interesting exercise, but we're not going to spend all the time here, just like we did yesterday. This will require a more closer look, right? But I think we've been able to iron out some of the structural issues we had, right? And ultimately, after building your real-time dashboard, you are still going to do another level of probing, which is the validation session, whereby you validate it with whichever source of truth the organization is using, right? And ensure that everything aligns. So these are some questions I can't provide explanation to right now, but we're going to proceed regardless because we have a longer way to go. So this will require it on your own. You can also look at it again and see what exactly, if you can come up with any answer to the observation we are getting. Now, I would proceed. We've done our order count, and we are going to pull the order counts from we're going to pull the order counts from I'm just tempted to move it back to the other data set since that's the one that contains the value. But these are uncertainties, so I'm going to retain it as this order items data set. Distinct count. Yeah, let me retain it here since let it match with what we have in the sales figure since the two of them are coming from the same place, right? So the next thing I'll now look at is this. We've done order count, we've done total product sales, which we call the sales amount also. Freight value. We can easily do that one. So if I come here, remember to click on the this. So I can call it freight value. Freight equal to sum. Let me just start typing freight. Yeah, into show. So I select it. Then yeah, I've gotten that. So you can see that it's finally stored under this table for me. I will no longer have to worry about having to do it manually in the model tab. So the next thing we'll look at is what? Sales trend over time. We'll use charts to show trend over time. Periods of growth and decline. We'll also see that one in the chart. Standout months. We'll eventually see that one in when we start putting all these measures under visualizing them. So we've not yet done visualization. Those ones will be answered during visualization. I think most of the things we have here now are mostly visualization. So we've calculated the main measures, which is the order count, total sales value, total freight value. Then we will now use this to display the other. But there is another thing I want to show. There's other calculations that we want to see. The list of things that you calculate can be long or short, depending on what exactly are the questions you want to answer. But in this case, it can also be helpful to see what trade looks like. Let's say looking back to see if you are really growing, just like we did yesterday. So I think we did that yesterday already, but we're looking at the wrong table. So we'll go back to, let's go back to it. Sales last year, right? Okay, yeah, it's correct because it's still pointing to total sales, which we have corrected. So that's the interesting thing here. We just corrected total sales. And then anytime any other place where it is referenced, it will automatically inferred, right? Let me just confirm that it was corrected. Total sales. So it's now pointing at other items data set. Good. So we now have, and then we also did sales growth, that's a year-over-year growth, right? So what that means is that it's looking at sales this period minus sales the same equivalent period 1 year ago, then divided by sales this period last year, right? If you get a positive value, like I said yesterday, that means it's growth. Positive growth, that means you have grown, you made more sales this period than the previous period, which is a good sign. But if you made a negative growth, then you already know what it means that instead you went backwards instead of growing in your sales. So it seems like we've gotten all the measures because we can't really continue to draft measures. But the purpose here is just to show you how to create measures, how to put all this together, and eventually the next thing you're going to do is, well, you can start with your design. So once you are done with your measures and the rest, you can, in many cases, see that the analysis part is somewhat, even if not fully handled, but somewhat done. Now, the other aspect of it is that you are going to design a dashboard. That one is a design problem, no longer necessarily a data analysis problem. But I'm not saying that conclusively we are done with our analysis. There may still be time I will need to come back and do one or two things. For example, I have not even visualized. Let's just display charts so that from there you can even see different kinds of charts and where you can use one or the other. So we've gotten our order counts, total product sales value, total freight value. Now we want to see trends over time. So for us to see trends over time, we would use, I think there's already a chart that shows us trends over time, right? Even though it's somewhat over plotted, but this shows us the day-to-day trends for every single day in our data, right? You can choose to display it on monthly interval or weekly interval and so on. Maybe you want to see the weekday rather, weekday with the highest, where there is usually the highest sales, looking at your entire data. And then bearing in mind filter context. By filter context means that maybe if there's a filter we applied here. So let's see if we can duplicate, copy this one, and bring it to somewhere here. Maybe I want to plot, instead of showing the full year, yeah, I just want to show the months. Maybe this one is showing the date. That means all the time that we have the data. So I can choose to display it in months. But right now, this month is showing me chart data contains not a number value. Chart data contains not a number value. Okay. Where is that not a number value? Okay, let me see. Is there any column here that we are not? Okay, let me see if I will know what is happening. I can find out now. What am I to suspect? I plotted two things, one against the other. I plotted. Oh, sorry. I think the mistake is from here. Let me redo it. My X, this is sorry. What am I going to do? What am I supposed to do? I wanted to plot months against total sales, right? So I would have to change this to, let me change this to maybe any of these charts, bar charts or whatever, anyone you choose to, right? Let me pick this one, and then it shows me breakdown. So if I come here, my x-axis should now be the month period. Okay, yeah, you can start. It's gone. So there is there. Why? Contains not a number. Okay, then I think what I suspect here is this. Let me go back to other items data set. Order amount, fixed decimal, freight value, fixed decimal, price, fixed decimal. So what is the not a number error I'm getting? Okay, let me see my month, what data type it is. Go back to this table. My month. Yes. This is looking correct. Date. Month. Okay. No, I can't be number. Then what else? Chart data contains multi-number values. Okay, let me see. Let me display this as a table. I will just convert this to a table and see what exactly is happening here. Okay, so, and then I also expect to see January, February, March, April, not just. Okay, let me see. Trace this and see what's happening. Let me just take this measure back to normal. What is the measure called? Total sales. Even though I highly doubt that's the cost. Total sales. Total sales. I doubt if that's because this month number. What? That will not be the cause. I doubt. But let me see if. Okay, let me try it again. Okay, let me try this time around with maybe quarter. Yes. Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. Okay, this is looking good. Let me add months to that and see if we are December, January. Why am I not seeing other months? Why am I not seeing other months? What is going on? Is it just December and January I have here? No, now. Come on. What has happened? Excuse me. Cannot just be. This is 9. This is 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what is going on here? Is there a hidden filter somewhere? Let me see. Let me just open another chat. Okay. We must figure it out. We must figure it out. What is happening here? Let's bring a table here. Then to my date. Month. What is going on here? There's a little more behind this data we need to understand. Am I not using the right chart? I doubt. Cannot be. If I change it to date, it shows the full date. Still brings me back to here. Not at all. This can't be. What is going on here? Okay, let me see quarter instead of. Okay, let me drag months here and see. Date, month, quarter, and even year. This quarter. Year, quarter, month. No, Means there's a
I think
yeah,
the issue is on that month because it's
yeah,
showing only January and February.
yes. The issue is from the months because you can see that this is September and we even have January here. Can you
Yes.
see? Thank you for that observation. Okay, so what I will do is format. What was that strategy we used to get quarter? Come in, let's look at quarter again. Now we're able to extract quarter directly from the. Okay, just copy this. Come in. Not at all. It should give me 9 by all means. Either I'm using the wrong code here.
I think extracting the month had an error.
Hmm. Yeah. So we have it now. Let me go back again. Yes. So you can see that it's corrected now. Thank you for that. I did not even pay attention so closely. So we fixed the issue. So
Yes,
I'm
well
glad
done work.
I'm glad we were able to fix it. Thank you. So we can proceed now. And yeah, I think we can go back to the other worksheet dashboard and it should work. Yes, it should work now. Now the next thing is we were not going to plot a table. We're going to showcase it as a chart showing sales by month. So I will just restore it back to. I can use any of. Okay, let's use this. So I can see September, October, December. So this is what I was telling you. It's not sorted properly. You can see that January is somewhere here. Instead, I should have had it the other way around. But let's see. I think we've even fixed the issue. This is the same issue that could have caused us not to be able to sort this column. So I think we can sort this column now since we fixed the issue. Because then we had, even for months that were supposed to be 2, 3, 4, it was just 1 repeating. So let's see if, yeah, it should take away that error now. So month number should be able to sort our column now. There can't be more than one value in month number for the same month. Okay, let's see. Let me create another column month here and see if I can use it and sort. I've forgotten the actual column I would usually use to do it, but let me see. Year, month. I'm not so sure. Well, let's see. Date. This date. Okay. Then what am I formatting it as? I'm formatting it as I want to have something like 2027, 2017, then 09, something like that. Let's see. So I want to format it as, I want to extract the year. Yeah. Then, what was that again? Okay. Let's see if it will work. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Month. Let's see if this works. Yeah, 2016 09. Well, would that solve our need? I doubt. Okay, let's see if that solves our need, our problem rather. So year month, no, did not. We still have duplicates somewhere. Year month, okay, let me. I doubt. Same error. Oh, okay. So this one, there's, I've forgotten. In a stand, this is not a full date table. There are other columns that you will need, which will now give you unique, which will now be able to help you identify the unique number of this thing that you use to sort. So your month is arranged in order, but sort by month. April. Oh, no, this is wrong. Well, this is a case of sorting and formatting. So nothing here will show us the right thing. So later on, we'll find a way to handle it. There is a missing table in that our date column, which I will need to have, which I will be able to use to sort it. But this is a case of sorting. We'll find a way. By tomorrow, when we are closing everything, cleaning everything up, we'll be able to have handled that. Now, the remaining thing here, we've at least you know how to plot a chart. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is how do you choose? There are a lot of options here for you when you want to plot any chart. You can get confused if you don't really know which one to choose. Now, the decision or choice of visual to use is dependent on the first one is the data type, the data types that you are working with, right? For example, there are, when you talk about data types, we're talking about whether it is normal text, that's a categorical data, or numerical data, right? For example, anything that has to do with text is obviously a category. You can't show a trend of any text label. But if it is a number, you see that in number you can plot, you can see how the number rises and falls over time, right? So anytime you are plotting a chart and you want to see trends, maybe you want to see how things have changed over time, and you have a numerical and a categorical data, right? The numerical, if you have a numerical and a categorical data, then there are a lot of charts, visual options that are available to you. But for many cases, you would want to use maybe anything that has to do with bar charts, right? Bar chart is good at you just want to see how the number breaks down into different categories, like total sales broken down by the different states or different months of the year, or and so on and so forth, right? Now, the second other thing that you have to consider again is not just the data type. You also have to consider the number of variables at play. For example, if you want to see pattern, if you want to see breakdown of sales by month and then by another variable, right? Maybe by month and by what? By region, right? In that case, if you are plotting three things, this is a two-dimensional, these are mostly two-dimensional visuals. But if you want to code it, you can use different strategies in coding it. For example, you can use the bubble size to represent the numerical parts. You can now use the you can now use color. There's bubble that's using the size of the bubble to code a particular numerical value. You can also use colors to code categorical values. You can also use that means one of them will take up the horizontal axis can be the categorical, the first categorical. The vertical axis will now be on numerical. But if you want to also plot a third category, a third variable on top, you can now use the size of the bubble. I'm not sure we have a perfect example to use to illustrate this, but if we come across it, I would show you what that means. So it means that here now that I have these two are basically the same. This is a stacked bar chart. This is another stacked column chart. They are just the orientation that changes. You can plot the category along the vertical for this one, and then the line of the size of the line here will determine the height, the length of the line will determine the numerical value it represents. If you flip it, you get this. Then this one is more like a clustered bar chart that shows how the different values, for example, how will I put it? Let me demonstrate this one. Basically, you can still use this one in plotting, but this one more like is sort of, I think, I'm not sure I can provide the exact scenario, but it looks more like a histogram than a normal categorical this normal visual. I'm sorry, I may not be able to explain what that represents. There are so many of them. In stacked bar chart, for example, in stacked bar chart, you can see that what a stacked bar chart does for you is that it lets you to stack the height of your resulting value is going to be the same. You can see that the height is the same. This is not an error, unlike in the other case, right? What this one does for you is that it helps you to see that maybe we have two things we want to plot. Let me see if I can add another dimension here so that you see. Okay, my y-axis is representing my x-axis is representing total sales. You will typically use this one when the numerical values we are plotting are kind of cumulative in nature. For example, I have my sales amount and the freight value. It was the two of them that gave me the total sales that we crafted that time. So in real sense, it might make sense for us to plot the two of them as a clustered chart that you can now use and see, okay, across different products, how does what proportion of, yeah, that's the right term, proportion. This one helps you to get the proportion. So means that you will see that certain products, maybe for heavy products, the freight value may be somewhere below. That means from here, up to this point is taken up by just the cost of moving the goods, maybe relative to the actual. I think it might be interesting for us to create one or two visuals to do that. Just like to take a little more of our time. Let's just create something very quickly and show that. I'll create two measures now. One that plots, that calculates, that's the price. I already have freight. So I'll just type price here. Yeah, so I would put this here. Then, so I already have freight value. That's this one plus this one gives me the total sales value. So I want to show that breakdown, right? That's when it makes sense to use this. So instead of total sales, I can change this to, I will select sales price because I expect it to be higher. Then this one too, I can now select freight, right? Yeah, so this is what I mean. Let me get the other one so it will be vertical. Now what this shows us here is that it's showing us proportion of sales price. It's showing us proportion of sales price proportion of the total sales amount that goes for freight alone or for whichever category. Maybe it might make more sense for me to plot it for different products instead of for a time period, because it might not really make sense logically to explain it in that line. So let me say product category. So this is a product category. Yes. Now it makes more sense now. If you see, look at the legend. The lighter blue is the sales price, and then the deeper navy blue is the freight value. Come to this region, products like Christmas supplies and so on and so forth. The freight value is somewhat significantly high. I mean, proportional to the sales amount compared to other products. For example, this one, computers. This is most of the, I think, high value products like computers, you can see that it's mostly the cost of product that takes up the cost, the sales price that takes up the highest amount compared to the freight, right? So this could give you more insights, right? This is for different product categories. So you can see for this one, yeah, this is looking like the highest also. So that's when you use these two together. You use it when you want to show composite or proportionate contribution of different values. It will not make sense to use it. Maybe you want to show total sales and then also put um, order counts, because I don't see how the two of them relate. It might not, just unless you know what you are doing, fine. Now the other ones, if you want to show trends, you already have your line charts, you already have your area charts, you already have your stacked area charts, you already have your area charts and the rest. Now if you want to see line and stacked column charts, this is when you want to show, maybe you want to show profit and sales amounts as the trend against each other, right? Maybe you want to see, um, you typically use this when you want to show something like profit and sales amounts trending, right? Maybe one will represent the column here, and so on, maybe different months of the year or whatever you want to show. You see ribbon charts. Well, ribbon charts, waterfall charts. You can just go and read up all this. Now I know about funnels. You usually use it in marketing. Maybe you want to show something like how, for example, in marketing, the top of your funnel will contain the highest number of visitors, people that have visited your landing page, and as the workflow and as the natural maybe the conversion process follows a natural progression, just like such that the number will eventually drop. For example, in the university, during the maybe admission period, you say that there will be a lot of persons admitted into the school, but as you progress, people will keep dropping. So funnels let you do that. There are other ones like scatter charts. When you this one you would typically use maybe when you want to show maybe correlations and other things. Then pie chart. I may not be able to exhaust all this, but the list is there for you to explore. We also have the composition tree, where you want to show gradual decomposition. How this one is always is usually one of those very helpful charts that you can use to tell a storytelling. Maybe the total sales we got was this. Then across, let me just showcase one. Let me showcase one. Decomposition tree. So I have my analyze. What am I analyzing? I want to analyze sales, not sales price, total amount. I want to analyze total amount. Total sales. Then explain by what? I want to explain it by let's say state. Then I also want to explain it by city, because in the states you find cities. So this is telling you a story. Customer city. So if I zoom here, you'll see that if I click on this, I can, yeah, I want to go from the total sales to the state. It breaks down to the state. Then I can select here, then city. So I can use this to tell a story that, okay, in so and so period, over the period of our analysis, oh my God, this is, okay, over period of our analysis, we made a total of 15.7 million sales in sales. Now, the state of Sao Paulo is the highest, with a total sales figure of 5.87 million, followed by Rio de Janeiro, and so on. Now in Sao Paulo alone, we have the city of Sao Paulo, Campinas, and so on and so forth. So this is how you tell the story progressively, gradually revealing. So it gives a clear insight. So and so on and so forth. There are so many charts for you to explore, and beyond this, you can still bring in. I think at this point I'll have to handle my Zoom more carefully. It's trying to control me. Okay, go to my easier. Switch to it. Okay, I think that makes sense now. So the many options are there for you to explore. You can also get your own custom visuals, import from a file, or get even from Microsoft Marketplace. You can bring in additional visuals. You can click here to get more visuals. So there are so many of them. Some are free, not all are free. There are developers who create visuals, they want you to pay and all that. So it's up to you. But for many cases, the ones here can actually serve your need. There are maps and so on and so forth. So what we'll now do, because we've eaten deep into the time, is that by tomorrow we would by tomorrow we'll eventually focus on design, which is like bringing all these things together so that we will now create dashboards that help us to answer logical questions. But with this, we've explored what it could be like to create measures and visualize them and all that. So you can also, since we are working on this thing together, and like I mentioned, this data is strictly for this and program, right? That means I'm also figuring it out alongside you. So you can also go and just like you were able to observe the issue with my formula here. Let's see what exactly is hindering, especially these other counts. Maybe someone can come up with an explanation to why we have this differing from what we have in the other table, even when we have filtered, use one of those columns to filter the other, right? I expected them to be the same. Perhaps someone can provide an explanation to that, right? And everybody will learn from that. So on that note, I want to thank you all for staying up to this time. We're already 22 minutes past the time, and it shows your level of commitment, right? So thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. By tomorrow, we continue, like I've already given you a hint. Tomorrow is mostly going to be designs, applying slicers, and other things just to furnish your dashboard and have something you can present. And like I said, it doesn't end in creating one, and it's not just like a one way forward. Consider the road has not been one way traffic. There were times that we realized that okay, there were steps we missed in the cleaning of the data. We had to retrace our steps back to even up to Power Query. Power Query is the highest we can go. In many cases, you may want to go back and revisit your query, your actual SQL, and pull the data again from the database, or use other tools to finally, whatever you want to do, experiment, play around, and get the value you want, even in the middle of the analysis. So the journey is not a straightforward one. It's not a plug and play one. As issues emerge, you also develop what it takes to unravel those issues and solve them. So that is it. And everything we've observed are part of the experience, right? So like I told you, there were just so many formulas I could not even remember. We want to finish up our date table, but any of you can also check it out. What is that formula that can help us to have a full date table, right? And we all learn from that. So thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to having you tomorrow. Tomorrow will be the last day for this. And before you leave, please, what is the update with your project? What is the update? Maybe I'll still call Dorothy again. Seems like that name is. So Dorothy, what is the progress? I think I'll stop sharing my screen now so that I'll stop recording now so that we can discuss.